All right. Well, thank you for being here this morning. And I want to thank all of you for your service and your commitment to the fraternity, the sorority. And I hope that you take this day as a sort of like a takeoff, a launching pad for service for our community. And I wanted to invite you, and maybe we can get this institutionalized so that we can do it every year, right?
Yes.
And we'll do it here, and maybe it can get bigger than this, right?
Yes.
But we want to thank you for getting up early and being here with us today. And I want to introduce my brother, Anthony Sanford. I want to introduce him. He's from our local chapter, our Harlem chapter. And I wanted to say that service is very much part of this fraternity, and we want to make sure that locally we exercise that, right? That it's not just a logo or theme, but it's something that's part of our everyday life. My office is right down the street on the State Office Building, the 5th floor. You're welcome to come there anytime and call if you have any issues that you want to discuss. If you have any ideas that you want to bring forward, you're always welcome to come there. But most importantly, perhaps out of this breakfast, we could come up with a project, right? An initiative for Harlem and for the neighborhood, for the district, the 13th Congressional District that goes all the way up to Meshulah Parkway in the Bronx, as far south as 96th Street on the east side of the district. And we can work together with young people, with folks, families in the neighborhood. We were discussing earlier today about jobs, the opportunity of jobs, and the major projects that are coming to the neighborhood, like the 2nd Avenue subway and the future development of the Kingsbridge Armory in the Bronx, and the kind of opportunities that will bring to this district and how we can really take full advantage of it. It's not just enough to have a subway. If you build a subway, it's a $7 billion project, but if you don't create the jobs, then it's a failure, right? The first phase was built going right through the silk stocking district to the east side of Manhattan. And, that's one of the wealthiest districts in the country. It's one of the wealthiest zip codes in the country. So they didn't pay very much attention to minority women-owned businesses, to jobs. They just wanted the subway built. Well, I'm paying attention to the jobs and the minority women-owned business. And the 3 subway stops at $7 billion is not successful unless it also brings economic opportunity to the neighborhood. So perhaps we could talk about that. We have the Charles Rangel Institute of Transportation and Infrastructure going at City College with former Congressman Charles Rangel as the mentor of that initiative, and that is to train young people for precisely these types of job opportunities for the future. So we can perhaps work on that, or we can listen to some of your great ideas of what you feel are the important issues that maybe we could address in the future. But we'll hear from you. And first, let's hear from our brother, Anthony.
Thank you, Congressman brother. Let me first say a Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Congressman brother, it pleases me to stand here serving Epsilon Sigma. This coming May, we will be serving the Harlem community for 103 years. It pleases me to sit here as the president of this illustrious chapter. Can I get my brothers to stand up, please? Can I get a blue 5? Thank you, brothers. Let me also give a shout out to New York State Director, Sidney Moshet III. Let me also give a shout out to my mentor, the Honorable William A. Allen. Let me give a special shout out to Soror Greeks, Delta Sigma Theta. I got my sorors, but let me set it up. I know what day it is. Y'all not gonna tar and feather me today. In addition to, let me give a shout out to another one of my mentors, DHS Commissioner Gary Jenkins. Congressman brother, we were speaking earlier about jobs and the change in Harlem and setting things up for the future. There was a lot of great ideas that were being told. I was able to share one of the commitments that we had at the previous engagement that we had. And all that to say is, Epsilon Sigma, we ready. We're here. Whenever you want to set the vision, we're going to implement it. We're on the ground floor. We're making things happen. 103 years doesn't come out of nowhere. Okay? So we're here. Whenever you call, whenever we exchange text messages, just know this chapter is going to come through and deliver. Now, let me set it up for my partner. In addition to, can I have my oh so sweet sorors of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority please stand on y'all Founders Day today? And just because I like to hear it, I said my sorors. Yes. I know the rest. Happy Founders Day to you guys. Let me give a shout out to Lanice Nelson, one of my partners in crime and fellow president of a chapter. And one of my favorites, Joanne. Please come to the mic and take your applause as well. As I pass this mic over, once again, thank you everybody for coming. Let's continue to do work. You know, service is what we do. Aligning with Dr. King's vision, set it up, and we're going to implement. The D9 has not been strangers to getting things done, and we're not going to stop it anytime soon. So let me pass the mic to Joanne.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Joanne Yard, and I'm the president of Delta Mu Zeta chapter, which has been serving Manhattan over 73 years. And I'm proud to say that I have been in that chapter for the last 30-some years. Martin Luther King said, one of the most persistent and urgent questions is, what are we doing for others? That is not a question that any of us here have, because we're all serving our communities. We're serving Manhattan, and then we also go back and serve where we live, because most of us do not live where we report as a chapter. But I'm so proud that we're here today with you. You know, when you got elected, I was equally proud, because to have a brother when you became a member of our fraternity. So your sorors are here. We are eager to work with you and with everyone, because we wear different colors, but the cornerstone of what we do is service. And our communities need us. We need to stop looking at what color we wear and forget that our communities need us. So let's all pitch in. This is the start, and I hope it's the continuation of much more things. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to much more, and welcome, and have a good morning.
Thank you so much. That's right, we're going to bring everybody together. All the colors are going to be here together at one point. We're going to need a bigger room than this. Right, and now let's hear from the Deltas, all right? Where's Arena? Did I get it right? I feel for you, because, you know, Adriano Espaillat is not easy to pronounce. It's hard to pronounce, but easy to remember. So let's hear from the Deltas.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would first like to recognize our New York Metro State Coordinator, Ms. Randy N. Gray. And I bring you greetings on behalf of our chapter president, who couldn't be with us today, LaAsia Hundley Esquire. I'm Marina Christopher, first vice president of the North Manhattan Alumni Chapter, and I am honored to greet you on behalf of the over 150 members of our chapter. Let me first say to you, Representative Espaillat, and your office, thank you so much for extending this invitation for us to enjoy you for this important discussion as we begin the new year. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is a non-profit public service organization founded on January 13th, 1913 on the campus of Howard University by 22 college-educated women. It is a nonprofit public service organization committed to sisterhood, scholarship, service, and social action for 110 years. Chartered on December 13, 1980, the North Manhattan Alumni Chapter continues to make an impact on the lives and communities within the Washington Heights area and beyond. Through service and advocacy, North Manhattan Alumni Chapter has demonstrated our commitment to the betterment and advancements of communities we serve. Our chapter charges itself to deliver innovative programming with a far-reaching impact. Some of the chapter's novel programs include our annual health symposium and backpack jam, social action initiatives including voter education and registration, and supporting local initiatives including the Fort Fridge at Fort Washington Collegiate Church and the homeless outreach with the Church of the Good Shepherd, in addition to senior programming at Prince Hall Senior Center. Now more than ever, we take great pride in being present partners focused on addressing the current and emergent needs of the communities we serve through strategic and collaborative programs. I would like to thank Representative Espaillat and your office for creating this space and opportunity to strengthen and expand our partnership as we serve our community. We are excited about today's discussion and opportunity to share more about the great work underway with North Manhattan Alumni Chapter and to engage in collaborative dialogue, sharing the concerns we see within the community, and ultimately to maximize this now moment, working together to strengthen our community. We thank you again for this invitation, and we look forward to speaking with you all this morning. Have a good day.
Thank you. But let me just give you a little summary of some of the things that were accomplished in Congress this year, so that we can kick off our discussion, and perhaps we can come out of here with a plan, right? With a mission. One project is good enough to move the whole world, right? You know, an idea is a very powerful thing. And so if we move it in the right direction. But let me just go through some of the things that, this was a very productive Congress, probably one of the most productive Congress in the history of the U.S. Congress. We got a lot done. I think we need to communicate it better. Because if you don't communicate it right, it never happened, right? It never happened. So we need to communicate it better. We had, of course, the infrastructure and jobs bill. That was $1 trillion, right, with a capital T. Monies for not just broadband, but also monies for transportation infrastructure to deal with adaptation and mitigation, to ensure that the damages created by global warming are addressed. And many of us know what that means because we went through Sandy, right? Superstorm Sandy brought us right to the center of knowing what this is about. So there's money there for infrastructure, for rural broadband and urban broadband. We're working here locally with Silicon Harlem. That's doing a great job right here in Harlem to make sure that we bring state-of-the-art technology and access to that right here to the urban communities of Harlem, Northern Manhattan, and the Northwest Bronx. But there was $1 trillion there. That money is being rolled out right now as we speak, and if we're not ready, if we're not prepared at the starting line, we'll miss out on it or fall right through the cracks. So it's important that we're ready to access the federal dollars that are so complicated to access. And I understand that because bureaucracies usually are designed premeditatedly to tell you no. And then you have to try to open the door, and if you can't open it, then you got to kick it down, right? And so there's lots of money that was put in the budget to deal with transportation and infrastructure, right? We have the 2nd Avenue subway, which is a $7 billion project that will connect, as I say, Harlem to the rest of the world. What do I mean by that? Well, it connects to Metro North right there, not too far from here, Park Avenue right there. And Metro North connects to 12 stations, 12 counties in New York and Connecticut. But it also connects you via express bus to LaGuardia Airport and to future water transportation both in the Harlem River and in the Hudson River, where the Columbia University expansion is at, the new campus, right? And the future of transportation in New York City will be very much connected to water transportation because we're running out of space, right? And so connecting Harlem, not just to reduce the Lexington Avenue line, which is the most overcrowded subway line in the world, it will transport over 125,000 people on a daily basis, those 3 subway stations, at a $7 billion clip. Now, 75% of the work is already done. It was done in the 70s. The tunnel work comes all the way up to 120th Street, from 96th Street to 120th Street. So it's just about getting it from there to 125th Street, and potentially in the future, maybe even going west. So this is an important project, not just to provide public transportation to a community that has been denied that as a transportation desert. If you live on Pleasant Avenue in East Harlem, you got to walk all the way up to west to Lexington Avenue, right? And you see the numbers, right? Even with pedestrian accidents, right? Because they got to go through First Avenue, Second Avenue, Third Avenue, and then eventually, they get to Lexington Avenue. So this is an important project that will transform that area right around where the Pathmark used to be. And it will become not just a subway stop, but a regional transportation hub for Harlem and the Northeast region. So that's a very exciting project, but it won't be successful if we don't get the jobs. So as a result of that, I've been working with Congressman Rangel, and we have the Charles B. Rangel Transportation Infrastructure Institute at City College to begin the training for those jobs and other jobs, other related transportation and infrastructure jobs. So hopefully we can work with all of you in recruiting folks, young people, to consider that as an avenue for future work. Let's train young people for jobs that will be available 10 years, 20 years from now. Let's not train them for jobs that are being phased out. Let's make sure we train them for something that's going to be available for them right there in the future. And so I look forward to working with you on that. That's an important piece of work that we did in Washington. The Inflation Reduction Act, you may have heard of that, the IRA. It's not just about measures to fight inflation, it also included their funding for the environment, for environmental justice related work. Now WEAC, which is the West Harlem Environmental Action Group, will be leading several initiatives from that funding right here in Harlem. Harlem has a bunch of bus depots. It has probably one of the worst quality of air of any neighborhood in the country, in the city. So we got to reverse that. And you do that by bringing in those initiatives that will make it environmentally friendly. The money is there for that. We're going to be planting millions of trees across the country to ensure that the quality of air is improved in neighborhoods like this one and others. So there's lots of funding for the environment there in the Inflation Reduction Act. And with regards to health, it provides us the ability to be able to negotiate down the price of prescription drugs. Insulin, right, which is being rationed right now by seniors, right, and others that have diabetes because it's so expensive, will be capped at $35. The co-payment will be capped at $2,000 a year. And we're going to begin to negotiate down the price of prescription drugs from 10 or the highest priced prescription drugs to 20 to 60 as we move forward. So this is an important initiative for health. And you wouldn't think by the name of the Inflation Reduction Act you will have an environmental component to it and a health provision in it as well, but it does. So that's a major initiative. The CHIPS Act, right? How do we build semiconductors, right? And how do we bring them back from other parts of the world? Right now, you're looking at your phone, some of the stuff that's in there is being built somewhere else, right? And so why don't we do it right here in the USA? And why don't we do it right here in Harlem? So that's an important piece of legislation that was also passed. And just finally, the last one was the omnibus bill, which will provide programs and funding for this coming year, 23. And that was one of the most important pieces of work that we've done. Now we have other things ahead of us. We had the debt ceiling discussion coming up, and I think we'll address that. A debt ceiling impasse has been faced 78 times, and it's really like a fabricated crisis, right? We got a debt and we got to deal with it, and the other side of the aisle will say, well, we don't want to spend that kind of money. We've got to reduce spending, and they create a fictitious crisis, right, to try to score political points. But I believe very strongly that we'll resolve it. That's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. And with our new leadership, although we're in the minority, we got a feisty group that I think will get a lot done, right?
Yes.
And we're just 5 votes away from the majority.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to be fighting. We're tight, we're solid, we're united, we're laser focused in our message, we're lean and mean, and we want to fight for you, right? And so I think we're in a good place right now, and we need your help. But I just wanted to give you a summary of some of the things that we did this past year. And now I'm going to ask our state senator to come up. She wasn't expecting this, but she's going to come up anyway, because a politician will never give up a mic. Claudel Clear.
Well, I want to thank our congressman because he talked about some very important things. Economic development is critical for our community. And we're always at the end of the line. So it's really important that we are training our young people, or any age people, for new jobs. We're tired of walking into places and finding out you're not qualified. You don't have the education, you don't have the skill set. I went on a tour with the congressman and other elected officials of the Second Avenue subway, and I was in awe of the work that had been done down there. And I just was curious, who does this? How do we get a subway? How did that get done? And I didn't even know, what were they called? I don't remember the name of the people, but we don't even have the sandhogs. Thank you. We don't even have the equipment, let alone know how to even operate it, if we were the ones to have to bore any more subway. So it's important, if we're going to achieve equity, we are going to have to get the knowledge and the access that other people have, and we have to get it early. We have to get it ahead of time before these jobs come online and we find out that we don't have the skills and we're not able to do it. So I thank you very much for that. I'm hopeful for the omnibus bill. I hope it contains some money that can bring relief to our city as we are facing the crisis with the asylum seekers, because we know that well, please talk about that, because that's important, because we know these are things that we already need here for our own residents and for our own community. So, we're really being overburdened with the housing and health needs of newcomers, but we want to be able to satisfy that. So we are looking to you for some relief. Thank you.
$1 billion was included. Thank you, Senator, for municipalities to deal with the migrant crisis. But we will continue to provide more funding to the municipalities across America. And I often say, being an immigrant myself, that this migration crisis is not just exclusive or endemic of the U.S. It's really going on all over the planet, really. I mean, it's here in the hemisphere is a crisis of democracy, right? In Central and South America. And if you see what's going, you saw what happened in Brazil, the copycat stuff that was done over there. You see what's happening in Peru. They had 6 governments in the last 6 years. Violence is coming up in Ecuador, so they're showing up at the border because people are fleeing violence, right? Nicaragua and Venezuela and Haiti, people are taking boats and coming to Florida. So it's a crisis of democracy in the Western Hemisphere, and we have not led. We walked away from it, turned our heads on our own backyard, and now it's catching up with us. So we got to get the State Department, and we got to get the federal government really to take a deep dive and find out what's going on there and assist in making sure that those problems that are deep rooted in those nations are addressed right there. Nobody likes to leave their home. Nobody likes to leave their family behind. You do it when you have no other choice. A woman takes 2 of her kids and walks 3,000 miles. I met them. I went down to Costa Rica and Panama to see what's happening there firsthand. A woman with 3 little kids, walking 3,000 miles, 2,000 miles, right through the Darien, the Panamanian jungle. For you to do that, there must be a crisis of a magnitude that most of us here don't even know what that's about, right? To force you to do that. And so let's address that, right? Let's help out. Let's lead, right? Again, let's lead again. And so those are the challenges that are there. The mayor is doing a good job. I'm a friend of the mayor, for those. I'm a friend of Mayor Adams. Where's Tiffany? Make sure you tell him that, right? I think the mayor is doing a great job. We have a problem here on 125th Street. He came and he walked on a cold, rainy day, and we have now. He's working with the police, and I'm funding what they call violence interrupter, critical messengers, right? Credible messengers and critical messengers too, because you're critical and credible, right? Because they have to critique what's going on, and they understand what's going on in that corner, and they're going to critique it, and they're understood and embraced by those young people, and that's why they could be messengers, right? And so we're giving money to groups like that to diffuse situations, because once a situation occurs, it's just a tragedy all over them. We got to diffuse it before it occurs, right? And they will be helping with that. So the mayor is I think, doing a good job and trying to bring this city back, but it's a tough situation, right? And we're working together with him. Another important project, before I hear from you real quickly, because I don't want the breakfast to get cold, is the Kingsbridge Armory. And I know there's some of you from the Bronx here, right? All right? And the Kingsbridge Armory is the biggest armory in the country. You can fit 3 football fields inside of it, and it has 7 stories going down. So something like 800,000 square feet. And so it has great potential to be transformative for the Bronx and the city of New York. Some of the zip codes there in the Northwest Bronx were the hardest hit, even harder hit than Harlem during the pandemic. And it could be a tremendous message to the country and the world that we could bring several thousand jobs there with the development of the Kingsbridge Armory for that neighborhood in the city of New York. So we're working with the city. That one is just taking off right now. The city's still doing the preliminary work to put out a vision for it and to see exactly what kind of initiative will be supported there. But that would also entail bringing the neighborhood together for the opportunities that it will provide in terms of job creation and training. And so I look forward to working with you on that.